Ladies and gentlemen, brace yourselves for an electrifying conversation as we welcome a man who seems to have mastered every realm he steps into. From the political backgrounds to the crypto kingdom, from college leadership to the big screen, he's done it all. Coming from the tough streets of Birmingham, Alabama, where grit is forged into greatness. He's the embodiment of resilience, resourcefulness, and relentless ambition. He's a college ambassador, the former president of Jefferson State, and currently is taking a storm in the acting world. But that's not all. He's a God-fearing man with a touch of humor as a part-time comedian. He's a political activist fighting for the right causes that matter. Dubbed the Crypto King, he's dominating the world of digital currency with inspiring others to rise with him. Prepare to meet a force of nature, a leader, an entertainer, an activist, the one and only Emmanuel McKinney.
Hey, that introduction was so well, man.
Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you, man. Thank you for
Good to have
having
you
me.
on, man. Good to have you on, man. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, man.
Yeah,
that
man.
introduction was just over the top.
Did I ace it, man? Did I ace it good?
Right on the mark.
Nice.
Right on the mark.
First thing we gotta always ask, man, how your day going, man? How's your day?
It's going good. Can't complain.
Really?
But like they always say, right? If I did, who would listen?
That's pretty deep. You jumping right into it. Man, jumping right into it, man. I like it. So I want to get into your background a little bit, right?
Okay.
So I know that you are a veteran, is that right?
That's correct.
Or what branch were you in?
2 years in the Air Force.
2 years. How was that?
I liked it. I was a jet mechanic. I don't know if you're familiar with an F-15.
Nah, actually a little bit. Explain it to me.
Yeah, it's not the best jet we have, but it's certainly won a couple wars, a couple battles. It's seen its fair share. I was a jet mechanic. I did that for 2 years. Got out, got into crypto.
Which one is your favorite fighter jet, by the way? I want to ask that.
It's actually ironic because I worked on the F-15E, but I like the F-22.
What is the E? Is that like an electric jet? I know that you have the...
No,
What does that mean?
it's a larger jet. It's still an F-15, same as D and the C model, but it's larger. It has a larger payload.
Nice. So what would you say that you learned from the Air Force, all right, that you're a veteran now? What would you say that you learned from post-Air Force, after post-Air Force compared to pre-Air Force? What's the biggest difference?
I would definitely have to say it's myself. And I think if you were to ask anybody else, they would say it would be themselves as well. I got in when I was like 21, 20. Didn't leave until I was like 25. So 25, 24. Went in a boy, came out a man type thing.
I like that.
Came in immature, left a little bit more mature than I once was.
Yeah.
So
I like that, actually. I would actually agree 100%. If I were to give my take on that, which I love how you came with that, because the biggest difference is self. Explain that now. If you had to give, I guess you could say, if you were to go back in your past, then you now, what would you tell the you that was in the service? What would be the biggest difference? What advice would you give him?
particularly in the service, right?
Yeah, that you compared to the you now, because you did say that you are the thing that changed itself. So I like that.
I would tell myself, I'm 28. I would tell my 21-year-old self in the Air Force, don't do crack. No.
I said don't do crack.
I'm joking.
That's crazy. Hey, that's real though. You can't do that. You feel me?
I've never done crack.
You shouldn't do that. That's crazy.
It's crazy though. You wouldn't think so, but a lot of people in the military do move crack.
Wow, that's crazy.
And some other drugs too.
Do you know anybody who did that?
If I did, I wouldn't tell you.
What is a classified CIA agent?
I actually applied to the CIA, but man, they are strict.
Wow. So you must like being in the government. Is that right or no?
Oh yeah. Oh
Really?
yeah. For sure.
Let me ask you this. In the government, right? Do you trust the government or do you just use it to your benefit?
I think today you can't trust the government. I think only a fool would, because the government has shown us time and time again that it can't be trusted. And, number 45 said it best. It's fake news. Who is spinning all that fake news? And this isn't to get so much into politics, but they all coincide, because if you're talking about the government's number one main thing is control. every government wants control. Without control, there is nothing to govern.
Wow.
Exactly.
That's pretty deep. Very deep, actually. It makes a lot of sense. It's very clear, concise. But before we get into the government, right, because I do want to touch back on that. But you mentioned something that reminds me of a story that I want you to speak on, because I don't know the full story, but I would love to hear you say it. You mentioned that you did get out the service and you got into crypto.
Mm-hmm.
Explain, how did you get into crypto? Who introduced you to it? And how did you even hear about it?
Dude, my first time hearing about it was actually before I got in the military. Like everybody else, I started out on Robinhood, not knowing what I was doing, losing my money, thinking I was a big shot making $10, right?
Yeah.
And I got in the military. I was started making more money than I ever had. So then I was like,
do you want to give a price, or do you want to give an amount, or do you just want to keep that classified?
Oh, man. Hey.
Uncle Sam watching now.
That's classified, man. All that's classified. I don't need anybody knocking on my door.
For sure.
But I will tell you this. The most amount of money I've ever lost in a single trade was about $13,000.
$13,000. Crazy.
And
in a single trade.
In a single trade.
And oof.
And it was actually with Tesla.
So stocks.
In stocks.
Wow.
In crypto.
So are you an advocate for stocks or no? Because I know you haven't experienced 13,000 in one trade. That's within a few minutes.
Seconds. It felt
Seconds.
Like, yeah.
That's crazy. So are you an advocate for crypto or stocks or both, or are you an advocate for one or the other?
I like them both. Like, I consider myself to be a capitalist. Free economy, free market. America became the greatest economy based off having a free economy. Wow. And I know China is a communist country, but when you look at their economy, it's kind of ran like a capitalist economy.
China's?
Yeah. Businesses come in, businesses come there, they take advantage of the cheap labor, and they make a killing. And that's something Trump, he even talks about, trying to get that to stop. I don't know if you've heard about it, but Trump said when he gets back in office, he wants to put a tariff on every single import coming in from China, especially the cars.
Wow.
Have you heard about that?
I haven't actually, but the tariffs I've heard about, but not the cars.
Yeah, dude, because it's not fair. I mean, how many Chinese cars do you see down here in the USA? A lot.
Yeah.
But yet, I've never been to China. But if you go to China, how many Chryslers do you see? How many Fords?
Oh, absolutely none.
None.
Not at all.
None.
Wow.
And it's not fair. So,
what is the result of that, including employment? What would you say the result of that with us importing things from different countries? What is the result that has on our economy?
I'm not an economist, even though I did pursue my economics degree. But I get the concept of you import what is more beneficial for you financially. But in the long term, that's not sustainable. You have to be an exporter. Even if you can make it in China for $2. If you're buying it from China, that's $2 leaving the USA going into China. Whereas if you're exporting it, even for $1, right? That's $1 coming back into the USA. And that's what a lot of people in Washington don't understand. Yeah. You cannot export the jobs. You have to export the product, not the job.
Wow. But then again, you got to think about it in their standpoint. They're looking for cheap labor. Why is that?
Who, China or the USA?
The USA. You say Washington. They're exporting goods and services, or they're exporting labor, at least, while importing goods and services, which I can see what you're saying, and I kind of agree. It should be the opposite. You should keep jobs in America, send goods and services to other countries, and have the money come into the United States.
Long term, that's not a sustainable way. I'm not saying that you can't make a profit off of it in the short term. Maybe in like Keynesian politics, the famous macroeconomist, sure. But long term, you got to have a product. You have to produce it, and you have to export that product if you want to stay afloat.
It's a very interesting take, especially with the financials. And with that, I wanted to mention this in crypto again. So you say that you lost $13,000, is that right? $13 in one trade. $13,000 in one trade, which is crazy. Have you ever had a big loss in crypto?
Off the top of my head, I can't think of any. I know most of my losses came in stocks.
Yeah.
I was always a small time trader in crypto. Much like everyone, I had my speculation about the crypto market, right? Yeah. Now I'm all in. You ask me now, I'm all in. But back then, I was very skeptical.
I want to ask what crypto, for the people who are watching, I want them to hear your statistics and your analysis on a specific crypto that you are the biggest advocate of, if you have one. I know it could be XRP, it could be Bitcoin, it could be Ethereum, or it could be Dogecoin. I want to hear what you say and what's your stance on these cryptos. Which one?
Oh, dude. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm gonna ride. I'm gonna go to the moon and back for XRP. For XRP. Wow. Yes, I'm part of that army. Wow. Despite what anyone wants to say, XRP, it is the chosen one.
That's a dangerous take, though. You understand that there's a huge community that backs XRP, but there's an even bigger community who's against XRP.
Despises it.
Why are you in that community with XRP? Because I want to give a brief background of what I know personally, and correct me if I'm wrong, but XRP has been around 50 cents for the last 10 years. I don't know. Would you say? And if I'm wrong, correct me. So why would you want to put an investment in that? And no judgment, just
straight off the cuff.
Straight cut it. Yeah, I want to hear it, the truth.
Because I'm smart.
Smart.
Because I'm smart and everyone else is dumb. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Say it like it is, man.
I'm joking.
So I'm smart and everybody else is dumb. Not none of my listeners. We are all smart. This is why we're here listening to this conversation.
Exactly.
We're trying to get smart. You feel me? Me
people
too.
Who invest in XRP are smart people. People who invest in XRP and XLM are smart because they've done their due diligence. And they've done some studying and they've looked at these black pages and this hidden stuff that the government don't want the commoners, the normal people, to see. So it's like, if you're being spoon-fed by the government, by the media, you're going to continue being brainwashed.
Wow.
You got to wake up, get some steak, go out, kill your own animal, and eat. You cannot be a baby for the rest of your life being spoon-fed by CNN, Fox News, any news outlet. You got to be smart, do your own diligence.
I highly agree with that. You have a thing against news outlets?
I have a thing against lying. I have a thing against liars.
Wow.
Same thing God said. He hates liars. I hate liars.
Absolutely. Right. You have every right to, honestly. What news outlets would you like to say a few?
All of them.
All of them?
Every one of them. That includes Fox News. Fox News. Fox fell off. I don't know what they're doing. You're serious? Fox fell off. CNN has always been dishonest.
I think we've always known about CNN.
CNN has always been dishonest.
Really?
100%. CNN is Clinton News Network. Fox News, they used to be on point, but it's like Fox has gone woke too.
Wow.
I do like Newsmax, and if any of the viewers or the listeners know of Newsmax, they're a great place to get information at.
Newsmax. I'm going to have to look at that as myself. I've been trying to find a legitimate news outlet. Not even a legitimate. I've been trying to find an unbiased news outlet because I want to see all things laid out on the table, just straight like they are. Take an opinion how you want it.
Truthfully, I really like what Elon Musk is doing with X.
Get into it. Go ahead.
Every now and again, you get blasted with cheeks on it. But that's the price of freedom.
Facts.
You cannot have everything so censored to where you filter out what's good. And you can't have everything so wide open to where anyone can say anything and everything goes. What Elon Musk does with X, I think he's got a nice balance.
Wow.
If on one hand you can block out the cheeks, on the other hand, focus on what you're there for, you can get some really good information where you can make an unbiased opinion off of X. So
X is a what would that word be? Like an unbiased or freedom of speech, like a don't know the word for that, but X is an all-in-all platform where you got the freedom to say whatever you want, post whatever you want with no limitations.
Yep.
Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Because, sometimes people say too much freedom isn't a good thing.
That's true.
And when you're on a platform like that, you think that's the same case, whereas too much freedom isn't a good thing or no?
I would agree with you, but to a certain limit. Because It's kind of what I was saying a little bit earlier. If you give the government too much power, you get communism. If you give the government no power to where they have essentially none at all, what's the opposite of communism? It's anarchy.
Wow.
You can't have that. And so it's a balance. On one hand, I do think certain things that are really, really extreme, okay, maybe less censor that. But for the most part, I think people are now wise to the game. I think people are now smart. People have woken up. People understand that,
Yeah.
hey, mainstream media can be fake. People know the term fake news because of Trump, not because of Trump. The point is, this isn't 2010 anymore where people are asleep. People are awake now. And so it comes down to a certain degree where you have to let people make their own choices,
Right.
filter what they want to filter. If people want to look at cheeks, cool. If people want to look at politics, cool. If people want to look at
Right.
cars, cool. Like, let people make their choices so as long as it's not messing with anyone else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you kind of say that you agree with that one?
I highly agree with that. Yeah. And just to that point that you made, honestly. And you made another point. You were speaking about government, right? We know that we are a few weeks away from the presidential election, right? I just want to say it straight up. What side do you take? Republic or Democratic? I don't even want to say a person. Republic or Democratic? What side do you take?
Truthfully, neither.
Wow.
Neither.
Wow. Why is it that neither?
You got nut jobs on both sides of the aisle.
Yeah.
Now, one side may align more with my morals, but you got corrupt politicians on both sides. Truthfully, what I
crazy.
call myself is an American with common sense. A good old Christian, homegrown American man. And anyone who wants to support those ideals, whether it be Democrat, independent, libertarian, federalist and anti-federalist, whatever have you, I'm on the side of the truth.
Absolutely.
I don't think in any way it's okay to abort/murder a 9-month-old baby. I understand that nowadays we have a label for everything, but you want to call abortion for what it is in 9 months? It's murder. It's flat out murder, and I don't see how anyone can look at that and say, "Wow, this is a good thing. This is the best thing since sliced bread." You know what I mean?
For sure. I will say this in an unbiased standpoint. There is a side of the wing, right? There's Americans the Eagle, the left wing, right wing. I've noticed a trend. The left wing takes more of that stance. What is it called? My body, my choice. I don't know what the label is. No, there's a label for everything. I don't know the label they slapped on that, but they feel like, from what I've noticed, it seems that as if the left leans more towards that. Is that right? Would you say that?
I would definitely say that. They're more so my body, my choice, and honestly, in an extreme case, pro-abortion.
Pro-abortion, wow. And so, but you said there's a left and right. There's the Democratic and Republic that you don't like because they're nut jobs in each spectrum. What about the right wing you don't like? Because I can see the left Democratic, you seem like, it just seems like it doesn't line up with your morals, you know? You say that you're a man of faith, a Christian, and I believe as a Christian, most people would say pro-life. They would choose life as compared to death, you know?
Right.
So, in that aspect, on the right wing, what is it that you don't like about that?
More so, it's the politicians. I think that the ideals that come from the right, they're not bad. Specifically abortion, though, I think that the Republicans are part to blame for it getting out of hand, because when you have Republicans who vote, or rather not vote, to protect them, that's equally as bad as the person who's pushing it. And so here you have on the left side people pushing that narrative, and you have people on the right side not defending against it. Wherever, there's this old saying, and it goes like, hard times create hard men. Hard men create easy times. Easy times create soft men. Soft men create hard times. It's a big circle.
That's very interesting. Let me ask you directly now. Who are you voting for? Kamala or Trump?
I'm voting for Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. Actually, I'm going to keep my opinion for myself. I think that's even worse.
You think Biden's worse than Kamala?
Is Joe Biden worse than Kamala?
I don't know, dude. They're both like very rough. I will say this. Biden wasn't conscious that he's incompetent. Kamala Harris is conscious that she's incompetent.
Wow.
I don't know which is worse.
Wow.
Which one would you say is worse?
Wow. Biden is competent. Wait, say that one more time. Say that one more time and say it very slowly so they can hear exactly what you say, because that is a soundbite.
Biden is incompetent, and he doesn't know it. Kamala is incompetent, and she knows it. My only question is, which is worse?
Oof. It's almost as if the competent man who... that's a very good question.
Think about that one.
That's a very good question. That made me scratch my head. That's a very good question.
Who would you want to give money to? The fool or the person who follows the fool?
Either way, you're giving it to the wrong person.
There you go. There you go. And that's the crux of the whole ordeal.
It seems like there's no other out in that situation.
There is. Trump. Trump is that out.
I love it, man. I love it. What about Trump do you like? I want to hear your opinions about it, because I heard many things online about Trump, pro-Trump, this. People say all types of things. And quite frankly, I know that there are some Trump supporters who know nothing about Trump.
Facts.
So what do you say that you like about Trump? What makes you like Trump?
If I'm being completely candid with you, I was once upon a time one of those individuals, just a never Trumper, right?
Yeah.
I used to hate Trump much like everybody else. But the thing is, when you do critical thinking and just look into things yourself, you'll quickly realize that, hey, everything the media is telling me, it don't line up. I just saw him say this, but over here I'm seeing the media taking this snippet of what he's saying, twisting it and putting it out of context. And it's like, that's dishonest. That's fake news. That's not real. That's not authentic. That's not genuine. That's not what actually happened. And when you see that happen again and again and again and again, you have to get to the point to where you say, okay, I'm going to be either on this side or I'm going to be either on that side, but I'm not going to be deceived. So I would just, for me, it's just I don't like being deceived, bro. I never have like being tricked.
You did just say earlier, you just don't like lies.
I just don't like, bro, I said that earlier. I just don't like being lied to, because I've been lied to so many times before.
So where do you get those? Where do you get that? Where do you get those standards and morals that you don't like to be lied to? You don't like deceivery or trickery. Where do you get that from? Where is your moral compass based off of? What is that?
Have you ever been lied to?
Absolutely.
How did it make you feel?
Made me feel some ways I don't want to feel now.
That's where it comes from. It comes from experience, pain. And honestly, bro, it even comes from my moral compass. You ask, where do I get my moral compass from? Largely from the Bible. Whether you believe in Jesus Christ or not, you can't deny the fact of the message that he preached was love, kindness, and forgiveness.
Absolutely.
That's a message that we all can subscribe to, whether Buddhist, Islam, Democrat, Republican, white, black, it doesn't matter.
They said that's the most powerful force in the world.
Do unto others as you want to be treated, right?
Golden rule.
Yep.
I like that. And speaking of you being a man of faith, you being a Christian, how do you as a Christian view the world in the state of commotion that it's in right now? From your lenses that you wear, that lens, how do you see the world?
Dude, from my small, and I do want to reiterate, puny, pequito lens, I think that, and this is grounded in history. If you don't believe me, you can even look at history. For whatever reason, when people tend to follow a certain higher realm of law, a certain higher authority that is promoting good in people, not going around and doing mass murderings. When people tend to follow that throughout history, overall you tend to see them doing good. The most prosperous nations that have ever been on this earth, say it for what you will, they've been nations that have been rooted in Judeo-Christian values. And it's like, if you want to do better, don't reinvent the wheel, copy and paste.
You say if you want to do better, do what again?
Don't reinvent the wheel. Click Control C and Control V. Copy and paste.
Control C and Control V. That's nice. And so with that, you see the world through your lens. Do you see it in a state of chaos, or do you see it in a state of, I guess I want to ask you this, you being a man of faith, because everybody have different belief systems. Everybody has different faiths. Some people have the same and they align, right? I want to see I want to see the viewpoint that you have.
Oh, snap, boy. What a day, man, right?
It is, man. It's a good day, though. It's a good day.
I don't have any kids, bro. How do you like having kids?
Kids, man, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to say this. People say kids are a blessing when their kids are bad. Their kids are misbehaved. Their kids are straight devils. Just to say it exactly how it is. People say, oh, yeah, kids are a blessing, just to say it. So I'm going to give you my absolute honest question.
As a father.
As a father, right? In my particular situation, a child, because I don't have kids, I have a child, right? A child is the best thing that ever happened to me.
I like how you put that twist on it, cause I was thinking you was finna drop the hammer, boy. I was thinking you was finna come down with it.
It is the best thing that ever happened to me because it taught me how to grow up, not just in stature, but mentally and spiritually. Because I not only have to watch out for myself. Being married is another thing too as well. You have to watch out for your wife. You have to put yourself in her shoes, and then you have to know how to navigate both of y'all's lives to better. Then add a child on top of that. It's the same thing, but you have to see it in the child's perspective. So now I get to the point where she's taught me to slow down, see things for how they are at face value, and just focus on the smallest, the simplest, meticulous things in life. She's very meticulous, and I had learned to get that from her. So when we're reading or looking at numbers or reading books, looking at colors or anything educational, I'm actually putting myself in her looking at things through her perspective. And that's a challenge by itself.
Do you think you want to have more?
Absolutely. 100%. I want to have kids. I say the reason I would want to have kids, and this is my, I guess you could say, self-righteousness, because I think that I raise good children. That's my opinion. You could look at the fruits of my labor, see how she acts compared to other kids.
Yeah.
So,
I don't have any kids, but I observe people who do. I observe things a lot. What is it that you think you done well with your kid that most parents drop the ball with their kids?
That's a good question. I will honestly say that I can't tell you, because every parent, not even parent, let's go back to people. Every person has a blind spot in their life. This is why you need a council of people. They say it takes a village to raise a child. You need people in your life to help see your blind spots as a parent and as a person to help you become a better person. At the end of the day, having a child helps you become a better person. And I love how you started off when you said with self. That's my favorite topic. Well, I love myself, man.
You got to.
And those around me feel it, and they feel that love, and then they begin to love themselves.
It's like it radiates.
Absolutely.
It's like a flame, if you catch it on fire, it spreads, and it spreads, and it spreads over and over and over.
Yep. And the more people you have, the bigger that fire gets. The more wicks you have, the bigger your fire gets, So that's the biggest thing, man. It's really just about sharing that wealth. As we said earlier, love is the strongest force in the universe.
It is, dude. Dude, love can have you doing something that logically makes
Makes no
absolutely no sense.
Have you ever been there in life where you've been in love and you've made an illogical decision?
Oh, absolutely.
Want to speak on it?
Absolutely. Dude, I've made so many mistakes in life, bro. But I just think that part of my mistakes were due to being young, being inexperienced. And it's just like when you know better, bro, you do better. Like, you know what I
Absolutely.
mean, bro?
Yeah.
It's like I mentioned a little bit earlier, who ain't been lied to? Who ain't been cheated on? Who ain't been stolen from? Who ain't cried? Who ain't done this? Who ain't did that? And it's like how you react is what truly makes it. How you let that pain turn out is what how people perceive you.
Wow.
If like you want to walk around with all your pain and emotions on your sleeve, people are going to see that. People are going to notice that. People are going to talk about you accordingly. You know, you judge the tree by the fruit it bears. You know an apple tree because it bears apples. You know a watermelon bush because it grows watermelon.
It's factual though. You know a tree based off of its fruit that it produces. I want to ask you something, because that's a biblical reference, right? What is your favorite Bible verse?
My favorite Bible verse?
Plain and simple.
Oh, dude. It would probably have to be, and this too shall pass.
Wow.
I'm not sure of how familiar you are with that.
I'm actually not. I don't know the verse. You don't just paraphrase it for me if you.
Awesome.
If you
I got
can.
you, bro. I'm all over this one. It comes from Proverbs. It's written by Solomon. But there's actually a pretty cool story behind it. As we know, Solomon wrote Proverbs and Ecclesiastes, the wisdom books of the Bible, right? And one time Solomon was having a party, and he called one of his servants over to himself, and he said, "Here's my ring. I want you to put an inscription on it. Something that's going to make me sad when I'm happy, and something that's going to make me happy when I'm sad."
Oh, wow.
And so the servant leaves. He leaves with the ring. He comes back. To make a long story short, Solomon, he's up on stage. He's happy, right? He says, "Here, sire, here's that ring." He then reads the ring. Solomon's whole mood changes. At least this is how the story goes. His
Wow.
whole mood changes. And on the ring it said, "This too shall pass." And when you truly begin to understand what it means when you say, "This too shall pass," then you really get that mental clarity, bro.
Wow.
Almost like that post-nut clarity. You know how people sometimes say, bro? Like just that mental fog is absolutely gone and you're in an absolute state of mind of precision.
Now let's go there, right? What does it feel like when you have got rid of that mental fog, that brain fog? What does it feel like compared to yourself when you have that fog?
It's peace, bro. It's peace. It's peace. It's almost indescribable. But it's like when you're able to think clearly, bro, and for all the ladies out there listening, it's like when your heart is in a good place, you're able to navigate better. For all the men out there, when your mind is in a good place, you're able to think better and analyze better.
And how do you get to that place? Because a lot of people, some people read the Bible like we just discussed, don't understand it or have trouble reading it, or don't, or quite frankly, some people just don't stay in it long enough. Some people have relationships that keep them distracted, and their relationships bring drama and not peace. So they may feel like it's hard to get to that place, or they can't get to that place. Some people feel like they don't have the time. Some people feel like they have to work 8 hours, 16 hours, 12 hours a day. So they don't have time to be in that mind space. So what would you say is the way to get there?
Dude, that's such a profound question because for each person, it's going to be different. It's going to be absolutely different. I mean, there's the girl out there who's in an abusive relationship. Her answer would be, you need to leave. There's then the guy out there who's got an alcohol problem. His solution would be put down the Henny, put down the liquor.
For sure.
Then there's a person who has an addiction to porn. It's like, hey, free your mind from that garbage. You know what I mean? And I can't give you a one shoe to fit all because everyone's problem looks a little bit different, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. There was this comedian, I forgot, I think it was Mike Epps. It was the funniest joke I've ever heard, like dealing with problems.
He's very funny.
Very funny. He said he hopes that God one day just comes down and scramble and takes everybody's problems, right? And throw them on a stage or a board or whatever and tell everybody just go pick up a problem. He said, I bet you everybody would run and pick up their old problem because he said there are some people who have one leg, which to others, that's what they would want. Or to others, that's the worst thing in the world, you know? So it's really subjective. It's really selective. It was a very funny joke. I can't reiterate it the same way he did, but it had a lot of meaning to it. It was about basically being appreciative of the situation that you are in.
Oh, dude, absolutely, bro. Appreciation is something that we are missing as a society, bro.
Yeah.
We live in the most wealthiest, most prosperous, most powerful nation to ever exist. But yet somehow we have more people miserable in the USA than any other country on earth. How does that make sense?
Right.
Like, explain that to me. Something doesn't add up there.
Maybe it's too much freedom.
You think so?
Maybe. Because when you think about too much freedom, when you have no laws, no restrictions, and no freedom, you are bound to do anything that your mind can conceive. But when you are in that state, you have to realize that you still have to have a moral compass. Because my mind can fathom evil. My mind can fathom somebody. Get in a fight, punch somebody, knock him out, run to the trunk to defend myself, grab the chopper, bam.
Yeah.
My mind can fathom that if it ever came down to it. But I would never do that in a situation where I wasn't defending myself or my family, right? When you think about a moral compass, like you said, I'm going to use your example, the Bible. That's actually what I stand on as well. So when you look at Exodus 20, it gives you these commandments. Don't steal, very simple. Don't kill, very simple. Don't lie, very simple. Don't wish that you had somebody else's things. Don't covet. Don't be lustful over somebody else's wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, or whatever. It's simple. It's these simple things that every human should live by. So when there's too much freedom, it can be a bad thing. So that's the state of condition that I personally believe that we're in from the lens that I have, that I wear. That's the state of condition I see that we're in America. We have too much freedom. And we need a strong leader to come and put morals and standards and continue to lead us in the direction that we were going in when this nation was first founded.
What are we doing different from your perspective from when the nation was first founded that affected the amount of freedom that we have?
That's a very good question, by the way. In my personal opinion, I would say what we were doing different than what we were doing when we first founded this nation is not necessarily what we are doing, what's happening. The biggest difference is division. You got red versus blue, black versus white, good versus bad, which is what it is all in all. You have Christian versus this, Muslim versus this, right? You have male versus female. Like the very basics, the foundations of life is at odds with each other. Male versus female, child versus parent. Like every aspect that you can think about, there's a versus. And that's that competition. It could be good if you look at it in that aspect of competition, but the way that it's been fine-tuned, no. That's why I feel like and believe we're in this state of condition that we're in. Because of everybody, if Alabama versus Auburn, there's always something in sports, relationships, politics, literature. There's always someone against someone. But the worst part is that is all going on in one nation, the United States, not United States versus Russia. I understand that. Yeah, we're the strongest nation on earth. Yes, let's go. Let's show them our dominance, or let's do partnership with them, right? To not be at odds. So I think that's the biggest thing, in my opinion. What would you say?
Do you think that that's more so a yin and yang type thing constant good versus evil on like a higher type of knowledge, or would you say it's all an orchestrated thing?
Oof. Wow. So now you're talking about orchestration. And my good friend Andrew Tate, he introduced me to the Matrix, right? And he said that there is good versus evil, to simply sum it up, right? And all that takes place within a matrix, right? When you're outside of the matrix, you are on this side or you're on this side. And I personally believe that there are people orchestrating good versus evil, just to simply say that. But in concept, I do believe that people do naturally have that ability to compare themselves to other. And when that's on an individualistic standpoint, then that's when you have an entire nation against each other in that chaos.
So to some degree, you think it's more so human nature, just human nature that's naturally doing that.
Absolutely. And I would say the reason we got there is because we all fell when Adam and Eve ate that apple or ate that fruit, whatever that fruit may be, the fruit of lies, the grape, strawberry, orange, peach, pear, whatever fruit it was, So we're all in that state of mind. We're all in that state of condition. We have the knowledge to comprehend or fathom evil. But beforehand, we didn't know no evil. So that's where I want to get in my life right now with my family and myself, to not even really pay attention to that. Like that has no room in my personal body in my life, right?
It's kind of, and I'm going to take it to the next level.
Right.
Adam and Eve, they didn't know any evil. But is that to say that evil didn't exist? Because we all know that before Lucifer was kicked out of heaven, they were fighting up there in heaven, right?
Yeah. Wow.
He turned evil in heaven, but yet he hadn't yet came to earth until he got kicked out. So Adam and Eve hadn't been aware of it yet, but it still existed. So truthfully, I think it's a two-part. And if I'm wrong, correct me. If I'm wrong and someone else thinks so, like, let me know in the comments. I think it's two-part, at minimum. One is human nature, like you were kind of saying. And then on the other end, I think it's something beyond what we can see with our natural human eyes that's also pulling certain strings, putting certain things in motion. For example, I don't think Hitler just woke up of his own accord and said,
I was going to say, be careful what you say about him now.
Oh man. Ban Central.
Facts.
But I don't think Hitler just woke up one day and said, I think blank, blank, blank is a GOOD idea. Again, a GOOD idea. I don't think he said that just one bright sunny morning. I think with people like that, it's something more than what we can see playing on that person's mind, playing on that person's emotions, until the point to eventually they succumb to that negativity.
Would you say now is a good time to take a break? That was a good one.
Yeah,
let's take a break.
It's getting too deep.
As a man in a relationship, right? Do you feel like it's important for a guy to have his own space and time?
Dude, it is absolutely essential for a man to have his own space and his own time.
It's essential.
A man who forfeits his space and his time for the sake of his wife, kid, whoever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whoever. He ain't gonna have no peace.
Do you feel that it's important for a man to forfeit his time with his wife and his children for his personal time? Let me know in the comments below. I agree. I highly agree. I'm married and I have a child. I think it's very essential. I love that word you use, because how else can you, oh my gosh, you just have to. You just have to. Like, this isn't, it's something that you have to actually live and experience and know why.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you wouldn't understand if you're not married, or unless you haven't had experience dealing with females and children to an extensive point. You have to. Even the Bible says, and this isn't to backtrack, but actually to stay on point. Even the Bible says it's better for a man to be on the top of his roof than be in the house with a quarrelsome, a contentious woman. And
We got a lot of wisdom in it, don't it?
who, me or the
The
Bible?
Bible. Got a lot of wisdom in it, don't it?
Oh, dude, the Bible is literally the blueprint. I heard Dave Ramsey say, I'm pretty sure everyone knows who Dave Ramsey is. He said the Bible is the best book when it comes to finances on planet Earth.
Wow. List only one piece of advice the Bible has dealing with finances, because maybe I have. I need you to refresh me on a verse, because I know that there are plenty of people who never even would imagine that the Bible has anything dealing with finances.
Yeah, that's true. I think most people, when they hear about the Bible, they're under two ideas: those who know about it and know what it says, and those who don't.
Absolutely.
Dave's favorite verse about finances is the borrower is slave to the lender. Basically, if you are in debt, you are a slave to who you are indebted to.
Wow.
A slave, bro.
That's wisdom and sound financial advice as well. So that's two things in one.
100%.
How does it do that? That's crazy.
100%. And it's like, if you don't want to be like everybody else, you have to not do what everyone else is doing. If you want to be different, right, you have to do what is different. Because if you do what everyone's doing, you're going to be like everyone else is being. It was Trump and Elon Musk. I was listening to an interview with them and reading their books. Elon Musk said that he works 7 days a week. He gets no timeouts. He gets no breaks. 7 days a week. And that's not to say that you have to work that amount to be successful. Because look at God. He created everything, and even God rested.
For sure.
But it's like Elon Musk, he's the richest, quote unquote, man in the world for a reason. His hustle shows that. His work ethic shows that.
That is very, like, I want to ask you about that specifically. How do you think an individual, you say, how many kids does he have?
He got a lot. I want to say 11, but don't quote me on it.
11, 12, 10, more than 3 kids, right?
More than 3 for sure.
More than 5 kids.
More than 5 for sure.
How does a man have that much time to take care of his kids, be there in their everyday life, send rocket ships to the moon, as well as incorporate artificial intelligence and vehicles, as well as, I guess it's technically not considered banking, but run his own financial software, as well as be on an interview with so-and-so? Like, how is that even possible? How does someone have, everybody has 24 hours in a day, right? It is how you use them. But how does one person, and do you think it's possible for everyone and for yourself? So that's 2 questions in one. Do you think it's possible for everyone to utilize their time just as good as he do? And the second question as well is, do you think that you have enough time to utilize your time as well as he does?
I think it's possible for almost everyone, but I don't think that everyone is going to achieve it. Second, as far as myself, I think it's well within the realm of possibility. But I'm not even going to hold you. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I know that if I ever want to be on the level of Elon Musk or even close to it, I have to hustle like I've never hustled before in my life.
Wow.
The man don't take breaks. He don't take breaks. He works 25/8. 25 hours a day,
The extra hours.
8 days a week,
Sheesh.
366 days a year. He doesn't take a break.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I heard he actually sleeps on his workstation. Is that true, or?
I think I heard the same thing.
Yeah, something like that. He's a beast. He's definitely a beast.
He's different.
He's different. Like one person. And how do you feel about yourself in that aspect?
Dude, I am nowhere near an Elon Musk in terms of hustle. I can humbly admit that. I just think that I want to be there, right? Like, who doesn't want to have Musk money,
Right.
Bill Gates money, or Jeff Bezos money? Who doesn't want that? But what makes the difference is those people who are willing to work 25/8. Now the question is, are you willing to work 25/8 through failure? Because most people stop at failure. At least I've been told through in the books I read. Trump, He had failures. Elon Musk had failures. Jeff Bezos had failures. Everyone has had failures, but the difference is for those who keep going.
I will say that you are on that track, though. You're a movie actor. You're a college ambassador, the president of a college. You're married. You have a house. Like, you have a lot of responsibilities. And so, therefore, I don't think that you could even count yourself. Well, I know you said you humbly admit that you're not that. But, hey, you could be on that same echelon as him. So, with that being said, how does one become an Emmanuel McKinney? How does one adopt the mindset of an Emmanuel McKinney, right? Of a person like yourself. What books must they read? What seminars must they attend? What motivational gurus or financial individuals they need to listen to or follow? Who do they need to listen to?
Here's the truth, nothing but the truth, and the whole truth, so help me God, right? I base my entire vocal
Like a baby.
I'm getting cotton mouth. This is my first interview, my first and second interview.
Nice.
About my fifth one, I should be good though.
Nice.
But my entire focal lens is based on the premises that God is with me. I try to see God in everything that it is that I do.
Wow.
And so I think that it really just comes down to self-development. Like, if a person wants to be better, wants to have more, wants to have this, want to have that, you got to get the foundation right. You don't go out and try to build a house without first surveying the land, without first doing a percolation test. You have to get good ground, get the blueprint first. And the blueprint is having the knowledge, fear, and understanding of God.
Wow.
Who he is, what he likes, what he don't likes. Because if you pay attention closely, and I like how Dave Ramsey talks about it, doing the things that God tells you to do is going to make you a more wealthy man, a more prosperous man, a more attractive man, a more mentally stable, emotionally sound man.
Wow.
It starts there.
Speaking of being a man, I'm going to start wrapping it up here. But a large demographic of my fan base, right? My largest demographic is males, younger males, right? What advice do you have for younger men who are in a relationship? What are some things that these individuals must know? I had someone the other day try to ask me for some relationship advice. We talked for hours about relationships. Where are people today in society with their relationships? And how can you give something for them to relate to?
From what I've seen, I think an accurate word would, as far as a man, would be weak, lazy, lack of self-control. Honestly, all of the above. All of the above.
So what role does that play for the woman when you have a weak man?
What I've noticed, bro, there's a reason why women a long time ago did not speak out. And I say this with actually giving praise to the woman, right? Because when a man's in his masculinity, that allows for females to be in her femininity. But when you have weak men, right, like we have nowadays, women have no choice but to assume that masculine role. And that's how you get women with bad attitudes, this and that. Miss INDEPEND don't need a man. Do you know what that means? She got her own house. She got her own car. All that. And it's like, if men were to do what they need to do, the order of things would get better. And I can even fact check that based off the Bible.
Wow. How?
When God came down to Adam and Eve after what they did, who did he first talk to?
Adam.
He didn't go to the woman first. He didn't go to the snake first. He came to the man first. Men have to get it together.
And what did he say to that man when dealing with why he actually punished him? What's the first thing he said to the man? If you can remember, if I remember correctly, he says, because thou hast hearkened unto thy wife.
Because you have listened to your wife. Because you didn't listen to me. Because you listened to your wife. And it's not the fact to say that Eve was a bad person, because I'm sure Eve was a sweet woman.
Right.
But the fact is, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And just because it has a good intention behind it doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do. It's like men have to first assume that role, and then the dominoes fall. Then the stars align. Then all the cards are laid into an orderly fashion. Men have to get on that role so women can be who they need to be, and so children can be who they ought to be.
Wow.
You kind of know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. That's the order of how things are supposed to be. Wow. And would you say that's only when men play their role, or in their correct? They have their responsibilities in the correct positions. Would you say that's when all things start to align?
When men are in their appropriate role. Because a lot of females don't like it when you say women have a role.
Right.
She needs to be in her place. But that's not against the females, because men have a role.
Probably an even
men
bigger
need
role.
to be in their place, possibly even bigger. So each gender, each sex has a role and has a place that they have to fulfill. And anytime you have one stepping into the domain of the other, anytime you have one not fulfilling what they ought to do, the other person feels it. And that's when you tend to get chaos.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. I highly agree with that, being a married man and a father. I highly agree with that. It does, and if you agree with this, let me know. It comes strictly down on the man, on the husband, on the guy, on the dude, on the person, all right? If you are the one who are supposed to bring safety, provide shelter and comfort and things like that, right? If you're not doing that, I like how you said that about how women have to assume that position of masculinity. And that's when the tables turn. So let me ask you something personal. In your relationship, how is that dynamic? Because I don't know if you can be, like they said, one interview asked Gucci, man, he said, hey, man, can you be born with sauce? Gucci said, no, you can't be born with sauce.
No, you can't be born with the sauce, man.
So it's like, in order to acquire that mentality as a husband or just any person in a relationship, but speaking of men, in order to acquire that, how did you get there? And talk about your personal struggles getting to where you are now. What did you go through?
I'm no exception, bro. I am not the end all to be all. I've experienced the same thing everyone else has experienced. But what's made the difference for me is that I've sought a higher wisdom. I'm only 20. I know, I'm 28.
That's a big difference right there.
That's a huge difference. I'm in my 20s. I'm still young. I do not for 1 second think I've got it all figured out. Whenever I do a big decision, and I've always been this way. I've always done this way since I was a child. I've always tried to look toward those who have done it, those who have done it right, but particularly those who have done it wrong. Because if you look at those who have done it wrong in any category of life, you know that I don't want to do. That's something that I will watch out for. And when you go through these hard relationship times, like every man will, there's no man on planet Earth who can legitimately say, I have never had a hard time in my relationship. Because if he can say that, that means things were done behind his back that he didn't know about. I can promise you that. It just goes back to following wisdom, seeking it out, and listening to it, being humble enough.
Wow. That's a good question. You just answered one of my questions. I was gonna say, how do you solidify that? Like, how do you keep that in your everyday life? But it goes back to what you said. So I want to ask you two more questions and wrap this up. One question is, what are your next moves? What are your plans in life? Where are you going to be in the next year? And where can people follow you as well?
Well, at the moment, my YouTube, that's under construction, right? That's
Gotcha.
under maintenance. But I am pretty big on X. You can follow me at Really Manuel. At Really Manuel.
How do you spell that?
At REALLYMANUEL. Emmanuel.
Gotcha.
Right, at Real Emmanuel. But my next thing in life is I'm really keeping my lenses out for XRP. I'm really keeping my focal point for not just XRP, but XLM, XRP, like I said, HBAR, possibly IOTA, all these crypto. I'm really big into that.
That's free game. Y'all better pay attention to those cryptos he just listed.
That's free game.
Man,
And if you don't know about it, check ISO 22002.
Ooh.
Is that what it is?
You told me about that.
Is it 22202 or 20002?
Let's look both of them up.
Look them both up.
More information for the better.
The more the better, right?
All right. And my last question is this before we wrap it up. I want to start asking questions at the end of my podcast. Maybe some lighthearted, some deeper, right? I guess I can ask you a more serious question. Imagine this, because we know we all have our day and our time. We don't know when that is, but we know it's going to happen. Hopefully we live long. But when that time comes and you have all your loved ones around you and you're laying under the ground, what would be the last words that you wish someone could hear from you?
Dude, that's such a profound question, bro. At this point, with my 28-year-old mind, right? Because you asked me this question when I'm 64, I'm going to have a whole different answer.
Facts.
I guarantee you. But as of right now, bro, I just want people to know that I have no bad blood with anybody. If I've, done anyone wrong, no bad blood.
That's a good one.
Ain't nothing personal, man.
I love that, man. Hey, y'all check my man's out on Twitter, formerly X, formerly known as Twitter, at Real Emmanuel. Crypto King, the baddest man in the city who came out, made a guest star appearance on the Street Dreamer podcast. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, and also share these videos to show love and support for the newly upcoming podcast with your boy, Emmanuel McKinney. Till next time.
It was good, man.
Yes, sir. Perfect.